Welcome back to LiveTime. In this video, we're going to learn all about the clock connection details panel on the bottom section of the control panel. First, with LiveTime, let's make sure our local server is off because I'm going to actually connect to an existing clock server. So, back on our control panel, press connect to clock, and let's connect to, per se, master time. Now, once I'm connected to master time, you're going to notice that this clock connection details panel has some nice little information on it. Let's zoom in and take a closer look. So, zoomed into the clock connection panel, first you can see that I'm connected to master time. I don't have an offset. You can connect though with an offset. We'll talk about that in a later different video. You can from here tell master time to actually watch another clock server. We'll talk about that later as well. But let's focus on what's happening in this little table here. You can see that there are 3 different people watching the master time. First, you can see that I, myself, am watching it. There's a computer here watching it, and well, it looks like my iPad is watching it. iOS devices will show up in a lighter gray color because they will temporarily be there and then sometimes they won't. When any other device connects to this and starts watching master time, they will show up as a watching clock. For instance, my iPhone's about to connect to master time, and it will now show up as an iPhone or as a device that's connected. And then when my iPhone goes away from being connected, it will disappear. Now, the moment a computer starts controlling a server, for instance, this GVM clock beta computer is going to start controlling the clock server. You can see now that it's a controller. So any changes that that server makes, as you can see, it's showing and hiding the red information. These changes are coming from the clock beta computer that you can see down here. If I don't want that computer controlling anymore, you can unlock the panel and remove it as a controller. And now, that particular computer is no longer controlling. If he wants to start controlling again, all he has to do is take control from his control panel again. However, that's really handy when you have someone that's controlling your clock and you no longer want them controlling. So again, all you have to do is you do need to unlock your panel because we don't want you to remove anybody by accident. So unlock the panel and then remove the clock beta computer or whatever computer that's controlling that you don't want to be controlling. So another thing that you can do is when your panel is unlocked, and let's say I want to rename master time to be a different name. So let's zoom over a little bit like this and click on the master time name. It's going to open up a little sheet that says enter new clock server name. Let's call this new master time and update. Now the clock server that was called master time has been renamed to new master time. So this is a way for you to be able to make a lot of changes on the actual clock server you're connected to without actually having to go physically to that clock computer. Let's rename it back. Unlock the panel, push the name, let's zoom back up here and go back to master time. And now, as you can see, when I press update, I'm now connected back. The name has been updated to master time, to which I'm connected to. So that's just a brief overview of how you use the clock connection details panel. Now, let's learn more about the advanced connecting side of this. Let's say I want master time to watch another server. Well, again, we can unlock the panel and press tell to watch. Now it says up here, select a clock server for master time to watch. Now, we can't set master time to watch itself because that would create a loop, but let's make it watch the remote station. When I press connect, now master time is watching the remote station. It is indicated by our status menu here. It says I'm connected to master time, what this control panel is connected to, but master time is connected to the remote station, or remote station as I chose to spell it in this video. Now, here you can see from the clock connection details that master time, it also says again here, watching remote station. So anything that the remote station does, for instance, it starts showing and hiding some clock information, or maybe it shows and hides an overlay. All that stuff is happening to master time, but master time is watching the remote station. So again, those changes are all happening from the remote station coming to master time. Now, if I want to make a control scene here, because my server is now watching another server, my controlling is now in override mode. So if I want to override something for let's say I don't want to be information delta or version delta, but I want to be Foxtrot, or maybe I just don't want anything up there at all and choose blank. So now that stuff is being overridden, so any of those changes coming across won't come to my server. So the remote station is now showing and hiding an overlay and showing an information, but we don't see it. The moment I uncheck the override, I will get version golf to which the remote station's on currently. Now you may have noticed something that showed up here, and that was this overriding section. So let's say another computer like this clock beta computer wants to start overriding the overlay controls. The moment it starts doing that, you can see it showing it, and let's say it changes its background to a nice orange color and updates. So all these changes are coming from this clock beta computer. But let's say, just like in the controlling modes, I don't want that computer overriding anymore. I can unlock the panel and say goodbye, and then the clock beta computer will disappear from an overrider. This is incredibly handy when you want to be able to control who's controlling your clock and who is overriding your clock. And that's all possible from the clock connection details. Now, let's say that master time is done watching the remote time. You can actually tell it to go local, to which now master time is backed by itself, into which then you can take full control and make your own changes to master time. One last thing about the clock connection details panel is regarding whether your server is on or not. When your server is on, so for instance, let's turn on my server here. It will always show you information about your server and not the server you're connected to. And that's only the case when your server is on. So for instance, I'm going to take another computer and connect it to the server that I'm on now, my own server, and you can now see that there's a computer connected to me. Again, when your server's on, the clock connection details panel always shows information about your server and who's watching you or controlling you. So let's kick my server back off, and then it's now going to change back to information regarding master time. So that's how the clock connection detail panels work. It's kind of advanced, but I think you guys will get the hang of it.